Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are diving deep into the white paper for a project called EBT Pay. They're making a big claim that they can completely change digital payments using the blockchain. So we're going to tear apart their plan, see exactly what's under the hood, and figure out how they say they're going to do it. Let's jump right in.
But before we get into the project itself, let's start with a question that really gets to the heart of the whole thing. Have you ever stopped to wonder why, in a world where everything is instant, sending money can still feel so clunky? Why do we still deal with annoying fees and weird delays? Well, this is the exact problem that EBT Pay claims it's here to solve.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the problems EBT Pay identifies. Then, we'll see what their solution is. After that, we're digging into the nitty-gritty, the token itself, a very, very interesting referral system, their future roadmap, and of course, the super important risks and disclaimers.
All right, first things first. Let's really get a handle on the problem they're trying to fix. According to their own white paper, what's so broken about transactions today?
The white paper really zeroes in on four main issues, and you've probably run into some of these yourself, right? You've got those high transaction costs, especially if you're trying to send money across borders. Then there are the slow settlement times, where your money is just stuck in limbo for days. There's also a total lack of incentives for just being a regular user. And finally, it's all a bit of a black box. You have very little transparency into what's happening behind the scenes.
Okay, so those are the problems. Now, what's EBT Pay's grand solution? Well, you probably guessed it. It's a crypto project. So their entire answer is built on the blockchain.
And here is their big pitch all laid out. They've basically set up a direct contrast to every problem they just mentioned. So instead of slow and expensive, they're promising instant and cheap. But the real kicker they're highlighting is the introduction of user rewards, with everything supposedly being transparent and verifiable on the blockchain.
Now let's talk about the engine that's supposed to power this whole thing, the EBT token. If we really want to understand how this system is designed to work, we have to look at its tokenomics. The economics behind the token itself.
The very first thing that jumps off the page is the token supply. We're talking 1 trillion tokens. A number that huge immediately tells you a couple of things. For one, the price per token is going to be incredibly small, like a tiny fraction of a penny. And for another, it signals that their entire strategy is based on getting these tokens into as many hands as humanly possible.
So the basics are pretty straightforward. The official name is the EBT Pay Token, ticker is EBTP, and it's a BEP20 token, which is just a fancy way of saying it's built on the Binance Smart Chain. The white paper says they chose this blockchain because it's known for being fast and having low fees. So how are they planning to split up that 1 trillion token pie? This chart tells the whole story. A massive 40% chunk is set aside for the public sale. Another 20% goes to liquidity, which is crucial for trading. Then you've got 15% for the team and developers, 10% for marketing, 10% for the ecosystem, and a final 5% in reserve. You can see the allocation really prioritizes the public sale and funding its promotion. Okay, this next section is something the white paper presents as a massive central piece of the entire project, the referral engine. This is where those user rewards we talked about a minute ago really come into focus.
And the headline number here is 25%. Yeah, according to the documents, for every single purchase made in the system, a full quarter of that value gets paid out instantly as commission to a network of referrers. This isn't just some little bonus program, it's a fundamental part of their economic model.
And that 25% gets split across a network that goes 10 levels deep. But just look at how heavily it's weighted toward the top. You get a massive 10% cut for people you sign up directly. After that, the rewards drop off pretty fast the further away you get. This kind of structure is very clearly designed to incentivize users to not just use the platform, but to actively go out and recruit others.
So just to recap the flow, you earn money from people you refer directly, and you also earn from the network they build, all the way down 10 levels. And here's a really critical detail from the white paper. These commissions aren't paid out in their own EBTP token. They're paid instantly in USDT, which is a stablecoin pegged to the US dollar. Okay, so that's the system they've proposed. But an idea is one thing, and execution is another. So let's take a look at their official roadmap to see what their timeline is for actually making all this happen.
Wow, this roadmap is, well, it's aggressive. It lays out a plan to go from the foundational work and security audits in the second quarter of 2025 to a full public launch just 1 quarter later.
And by the end of that same year, they're already planning for major exchange listings and then expanding it to DeFi and NFTs in early 2026. That is an incredibly fast pace for any project.
And now we've arrived at the part of the presentation that you should absolutely never, ever skip when you're looking at any project: the risks and the disclaimers. This is the fine print, and trust me, it's always important.
I'm going to read this next part to you directed from their white paper, because the language they use is very specific and legally very important. It says, quote, "This white paper is for informational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice or a solicitation to invest." That's a pretty standard legal statement, but it's a critical one.
And the white paper doesn't stop there. It includes all the other warnings you'd expect. They make it crystal clear that crypto is risky, that what happened in the past means nothing for the future, and that ultimately, the responsibility is on you. You have to do your own research and talk to a professional before you even think about getting involved.
And that brings us to the end. After breaking down this whole white paper with its big promises of low fees and this really complex high-reward referral system, we land on one final and I think crucial question. Anytime you see a project offering rewards this high, what are the really tough questions you should be asking? Questions like, where is the value actually coming from? How is this model sustainable? And what are the real risks here? That right there is the key takeaway. Thanks for tuning into this breakdown.